if the demand of something is exceeding the capacity, you build a better system to fulfill the capacity. What I don't get is some of the comments around it saying, if your child can't stand in a queue, you shouldn't be taking them to these sort of parks. Why? All children should be able to go to these parks. Just because they've got SEN needs or they're neurodivergent and they struggle in certain situations doesn't mean that they should just stay bundled up in the house all day and not have access to these places. The solution to abusing a system isn't to mass exclude people from said system. You know, when the system is punishing legitimate users, the problem isn't the fraud that's going on in the system, it's the system itself. No. What you're doing there by saying that is creating a hierarchy of who's more disabled, who's more in need of stuff. A wheelchair user's access isn't any more valid than an autistic child's need for access. We shouldn't be competing one against the other. Merlin Entertainments, all over the news at the moment. They have become quite synonymous with the fact that they have just revoked ride access for autistic and ADHD children, essentially. And clearly it's got the disabled community and the SEN community in a bit of a tiz, so let's have a chat about it. I've seen from both sides what's been going on and can see that obviously some people are saying that this should have been done a long time ago because the system was being abused by people that do not deserve that people were abusing the system, essentially. But obviously many families are devastated because it means that they've lost the only way of accommodating their children access into these parks. And I do see where some people are coming from with it being abused. I get that. But what I don't get is some of the comments around it saying, if your child can't stand in a queue, you shouldn't be taking them to these sort of parks. Why? All children should be able to go to these parks. Just because they've got SEN needs or they're neurodivergent and they struggle in certain situations doesn't mean that they should just stay bundled up in the house all day and not have access to these places. So I don't get comments like that, and I don't understand why the fuck anyone would say that. But obviously both people on both sides of the fence are right. And the fact that both people are right, in a way, is exactly why Merlin's solution to this situation of it being abused is bullshit. So what has actually happened? So what has Merlin done and why is everyone pissed about this? So on February 2nd this year, 2026, Merlin Entertainments, so Alton Towers, Legoland, Thorpe Park, Sea Life Centre, and many other places as well, changed their Ride Access Pass or RAP Pass. And they have split it into two categories: difficulty standing for physical disabilities and difficulty with crowds. So that would be your neurodivergent conditions, autism, and ADHD. And what they have now said is that they will not be accepting children or the passes that have got the difficulty with crowds. They're only going to be accepting the difficulty with standing. So that basically means that anyone that's autistic or ADHD that struggles with crowds is not going to be allowed to have one of these RAP passes. So what they're going to be doing now instead is offering companion tickets, sensory rooms, and ear defenders, which in theory sounds nice, but none of that actually solves the problem. Ear defenders are not going to stop an autistic child that runs and bolts everywhere from running and bolting everywhere. They're not going to calm an ADHD child long enough to stand in a queue for 4 hours, which is some of these rides. I've been to Alton Towers sometimes, and especially on a busy day, the ride system can be minimum upwards of 90 minutes. That's an hour and a half standing. And I know some people are going to say in the comments, all children struggle for 90 minutes. And yes, of course, there is a fact to that, that most children would not be able to do 90 minutes standing. And I fully appreciate that. But they are more able to stand and safely able to stand in a queue for that length of time. Whereas a child with ADHD or autism is likely to bolt. They are likely to have meltdowns, sensory overloads. And Merlin has been saying the wrap queues were getting too long, the system wasn't working. And like I say, I fully appreciate where they're coming from with that. And they needed more tailored support. That was one of the things they put on their websites as well. But as some people have said on some YouTube videos, wrap hasn't been functioning properly for many years. And they've known that this system was broken. They've known it wasn't working. But their solution, rather than trying to fix the problem, is to just exclude people and exclude specifically the people that the wrap card was created for in the first place. Obviously, this is a real impact for a lot of families because, like I say, children with neurodivergency, such as ADHD and autism, deserve to go to these theme parks as much as anyone else. One parent on YouTube, on a comment, said when they were actually a Ride Access Pass user and now no longer qualify because of these changes, said whatever accommodations they try to provide for neurodivergent people is always resulting in exclusion because there's such a vast spectrum of people. There's such a vast spectrum of neurodivergent people. And that kind of explains it perfectly. And like I say, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that abusing the Ride Access Pass doesn't exist, because clearly it fucking does. People have always abused the system. Whatever system you're talking about, there's always abuse of systems. And commenters on this YouTube video have given proof of this abuse taking place. So someone said they waited 4 hours in a main queue for Hyperia. I don't know where that is, but Hyperia on opening day, and then they used their Ride Access Pass in the afternoon to skip ahead and meet their friends. Another Ride Access Pass user has said when they can't go on Hyperia because the wrap queue is too long, it's insulting when people exploit the system. And it is really insulting. So people like that person that, is clearly able to stand in a queue because they did it in the morning, but by the afternoon when they're tired and can't be asked to stand in queue, that's when they use the Ride Access Pass. That's, of course, people like that should be removed from the system. But what they should do is just give them a blanket ban and just say, okay, you're not able to use the Ride Access Pass again, regardless of whether you can use it. Whether you're entitled to use it or not, you've abused this card, we're taking it off you. You're not having the Ride Access Pass anymore. That's what I think they should do. If people are going to use the card and abuse it, then they should lose access to the card. But they shouldn't take the card away from people that genuinely do need the card. And obviously this puts extra pressure on staff at the parks because the staff are dealing with people yelling at them, arguing with them, trying to force their way through and push their way through queues. The system is broken with the Ride Access Pass. I have never actually used a Ride Access Pass, so this news, when I saw it, was quite new to me. I'd heard of the Ride Access Pass, but I'm a little bit frightened of rides. I'm not personally. I love rides. I used to go to Alton Towers all the time when I was younger, and I loved going on the bigger, the faster rides, the better. But now I'm 37. I think I throw my back out getting out of bed. So I think being hurled around a roller coaster would put me in an early grave. But I would love to take Jacob. I would love to take him because he does like these sort of things. But I'm a little bit of a helicopter mum when it comes to Jacob, and unless I can go on the ride with him, I think I'd have a panic attack putting him on a ride at the age of 6, which is what he is at the moment. We're coming up to 6. I think I'd freak. So when he's a bit older, but he will probably need one of these ride access passes. But apparently he's not going to be eligible. Now, I do say that he's not eligible. He may still be eligible. So Jacob has got autism, but he does also have toileting issues. Now, toileting issues, they are still covering. So because Jacob does have these issues, if that is still ongoing, when we do brave it and take him somewhere like Alton Towers, he will be able to go on the rides, and he will be able to use the ride access pass because he does have toilet issues. But I still think that children with autism, because of the way that they behave and their behaviours, and the fact that most of them don't have any sense of danger, that should be the main concern. That should be the reason why they get the ride access pass. And of course, not all autistic people do need the RAP pass. Not all autistic people will want to use the RAP pass. So for as many people that are abusing the system, there are a number of other people that are entitled to use the system that don't, because they don't feel they need to. So I still don't understand why they've taken this pass away from people that aren't abusing the system and do need it. It's odd to me why they've made this call, why Merlin has made this call. The solution to abusing a system isn't to mass exclude people from said system. You know, when the system is punishing legitimate users, the problem isn't the fraud that's going on in the system, it's the system itself. The whole ride access pass system needs rehauling and re-looking at, not let's just punish the people that do need it and are using it. I'm going to read you some of the comments that I found. So these are real life examples that I found from TikTok users, YouTube users that have commented on this. So someone said here, I can wait 30 to 45 minutes in a queue, but that's the maximum. It's really difficult for me to cope. Now, obviously, I don't know about this person. I don't know this person's history, and it's obviously not for me to comment. I think that is quite a vague statement. It's difficult for me to cope. I don't know, again, what the diagnosis is here, why it's difficult for her to cope. I have anxiety myself. I don't like big queues and shopping centres and things like that. And after 30 minutes to 45 minutes, I'm going bananas in queues, but I can still do the queue. I'll still stand there. So just because she's finding it a little bit difficult to cope doesn't mean that she should have one of these RAP passes. Again, someone else here, if forced to be in crowds, I can't go. Again, vague. Don't know the scenario. No, I don't think that's a reason to have a RAP card. There's a level 2 autistic person that said they showed up to Thorpe Park and the queue just to get the RAP card was hours long. And there were so many people yelling at the staff. They were confused about whether they even still, and they're now confused about whether they even still qualify for the card. Now, someone here with chronic pain who uses crutches said at the beginning of the day, someone might be able to do a 2-hour queue, but that can wipe them out. And maybe they couldn't even cope doing a 5-minute queue at the end of the day. I'm not really sure why they commented, because as far as I can see from the RAP card themselves and from Merlin, the physical disabilities will still be eligible. It's the ones that can't stand in a queue with social crowds. It's the social crowd section. So I don't know why she commented on that video. And I'm happy to be corrected on that, but this is what I looked at when I was researching for this video. And again, someone here said, I'm someone that needs urgent toilet access, couldn't get a ride access for Alton Towers last year, had to join an 85-minute wait. I made sure to go to the toilet beforehand though, but I still ended up having an accident in the queue. Now, to me, they should get the RAP card. And again, I'm not entirely sure why they've commented, because they are still giving that to toileting issues. From what I can see anyway, like I say, I'm happy to be corrected on this. But as far as I can see, it's only the social crowding section that's being punished. And that is more for the autism, ADHD, like invisible illnesses people. So the people that have got POTS, for example, will be affected by this, because yes, they are physically able to stand, but if they stand for too long, that becomes dangerous to them. Or if they sit down, stand up, then that can become an issue for them. So standing in a long queue in a crowd is not going to be great for someone with POTS. People that have got autism, ADHD, that bolt or have meltdowns, sensory overloads, they're not going to be able to stand in crowded queues. They're the ones that are being punished, not the people that are physically disabled with crutches, wheelchairs, and toileting issues. Like I say, as far as I can see, they're still going to be allowed to have the pass. It's going to the same people that are being denied PIP, so personal independence payment. So this kind of, I can see this logic from Merlin is the same logic that is being applied to PIP applicants. You don't look sick enough, or you don't look disabled enough, therefore you are not entitled. So because people like Jacob, who is high functioning autistic, might not look autistic enough, or someone with ADHD, you can't see ADHD. Yes, they've got traits of ADHD, they've got things that they do, but because they haven't got crutches or a wheelchair, or are running out doing things physically, they don't look disabled enough. And that's what's being punished by not giving them access to this RAP card. It's the same shit, just a different venue. Different location, same shit. And some of the comments, there are a lot of comments, like I say, defending the policy, because they're like all over the internet. Someone said, I can understand prioritising wheelchair users over autistic children. No. What you're doing there by saying that is creating a hierarchy of who's more disabled, who's more in need of stuff. A wheelchair user's access isn't any more valid than an autistic child's need for access. We shouldn't be competing one against the other. Yes, they've both got different requirements and different needs, but neither is higher or more above the other. They still both need equal access and equal ability, equal opportunities to do certain things. A wheelchair user doesn't have the same issues that an autistic child has, where they're not going to be able to regulate themselves in a 90-minute queue and might end up having a sensory overload and then a meltdown. And it might even be an aggressive meltdown where they start lashing out at the crowd around them because they're that overwhelmed. Then what happens? They have to be pulled out of the crowd, or they end up hurting themselves or someone else because they've got themselves into sensory overload. We can't have that in a queue. We can't have that in social spaces. We shouldn't have to have that in social spaces for the safety of the child and also the people around them. And that's why these children should have access to be able to go into a different queue, which is a bit calmer, quicker, and still be able to go on these rides, still be able to go into these venues and still have a good day out and enjoy themselves. We shouldn't be shutting away children just because they have a different requirement when they're in public to other people. Different barriers just require different accommodations. Someone else said, obviously, too many people were using the pass. Yeah, obviously. But on the other side of the coin, you could look at this as more positive thing. It means that disabled people are using the pass to access things, which is exactly what it was designed to do. If the demand of something is exceeding the capacity, you build a better system to fulfill the capacity. You don't reduce the access. You don't take away the access from someone. If a system has been put in place designed to help people And it's working enough that those people are actually using the system, but it becomes overloaded because there's so many people using the system and needing the system. That's a good thing. That means that system is great, it's working, but somewhere along the line with the Ride Access Pass, it stopped working for the people that needed to use it. It became overloaded, and rather than them trying to fix the overload, they just said, we're going to just push out people. We're just going to stop these people from using it. We're going to take away the system that was working for you, and we're going to take it off you, and that's it. You can't do that. You don't reduce access for people. It's just not okay. Another person said here, there's a lot of work to be done in the design of attractions to make the queue lines fully accessible. So yeah, exactly. There should be things that are done in the actual queues. I remember, I don't know if this is the case, but when I was at Alton Towers, and I appreciate that some of the queue lines are very narrow, it wouldn't kill them to put a few chairs out along the queue, just some fixed seating points where people can just take a little bit of a break off their feet, and it would have helped me a lot. And like I say, that was when I was younger, and that was 20 years ago. I don't know if that's in place now, but just something simple like just having a few seats available throughout the queues would maybe help some people just take the weight off and rest their legs and feet a little bit. Or have a completely virtual queue. So you have a completely digital system where you don't queue at all. So the people that are given the wrap cards, what they should be able to do is physically not actually queue at all and virtually queue. And you can keep them out of the line, out of the queue completely, and then they're checked in at 3:00. That's your ride time. Go. Done. Someone else here said, can't you just pay for fast track? Yes, of course, people can pay for fast track if they can afford it. Are you talking a day out at Alton Towers for a family of 4 is 200 plus quid? You put on fast track on top of that, it's a huge amount of money. And now you're bringing in a class privilege with ableism as well, just on top of it, just as an extra kicker. And someone else here said there was a scenario that they gave. So a family arrives at a ride with an autistic child, has a meltdown, and when told to come back in 40 minutes, the parent gives the ride attendant an angry look. So staff cave to avoid awkwardness. Someone's written that hasn't got an autistic child, trust me. Meltdowns are not manipulation. There are, yes, children obviously in queues that will try and scream and cry and kick and get a bit like Veruca Salt, I want it now, in a queue. That's not a meltdown. That's a child having a temper tantrum because they can't get to the ride quicker. It's very different to an autistic meltdown. It's very different to a sensory overload meltdown. Their whole nervous system is dysregulated. And if you think parents are fucking enjoying that experience, you are very sadly mistaken, because we do not enjoy that experience. Believe me. I've had it recently with Jacob. We seem to be just one meltdown after another at the moment. And I had to leave the house the other day. I had to leave him with his dad just for 5 minutes so I could go and calm down and regulate myself, because it was a lot. There's only so much deep breathing I can do before my head explodes. And I'm not 6. So I think that some people have actually given a solution, and I don't know why this has not been implemented by Merlin. So some people here have said, Disneyland Paris, they do the wrap system right. Different systems for different needs. So Disney has the DAS system, or Disability Access Service, and it's a virtual queue. You get a return time to return to the queue. So you check in with your virtual access pass and you wait the same duration. So if it's a 2-hour queue, you wait 2 hours, but you can be anywhere in the park. You can be anywhere. And then after your 2 hours, you can check in. You don't have to wait in a physical line. So if you've got children with autism and ADHD, You can take them off into a cafe. If you're at Disneyland, you can take them to the Bippity Boppity Boo Boutique for 2 hours and get them sorted there, or do meet and greets with characters. Keep them level, keep them calm, all the while your clock is ticking. And then as soon as your clock is ticking, you go. You're done. You can go on your ride. You don't have to wait in a physical line. Another commenter said, why can't they just have a decent virtual queuing system? So again, similar to the DAS system at Disneyland. No one is asking for immediate access. And this is the key point. No parent of a disabled child is saying my child should go straight through because my child has a disability. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is our children deserve to go on these rides the same as every other child. But our children struggle more than other children to stay in a queue and stay in a line. And we want a system that works for our children so that they can enjoy this park as much as anyone else. If that means waiting, then that's fine. But we need a safe way for our children to wait. A safe and calming way for our children to wait. That doesn't involve standing in a queue with, pushing and shoving, potentially increasing sensory overload. And then if you do have, like I say, the toileting accidents and things like that's all piled on top of it, people are happy to wait in a queue, but just away from the main queue. We're happy to wait turns just away from the main queue. So what I think Merlin should do, because clearly this fucking system isn't working, is do something like Disneyland Paris with the DAS system. So implement a completely virtual queue, which is quite easy. Give them a QR code, barcode scanning at different kind of stops throughout the park. Stop daily caps on wrap. If they need infrastructure to handle demand, build it. You've got enough money in your parks, Merlin. Sorry, calling you out here. I don't know what their total net worth is for Merlin, but I'm guessing it's a lot. The demand is there, so build it. Give people what they want. Train staff properly at the park so people aren't waiting hours just to get the pass, and sort that out as well. People shouldn't be having to wait for a pass that stops them from waiting. That's just a ridiculous system. And address the abuse of the system through better verification checks. Make it harder for people to get these cards. Make it harder for people to get the passes. That will stop the fraud. That will stop the abuse. But the people that have genuine needs and genuine children that have got genuine requirements for this RAP pass will be able to get the pass because we have the proof. We have the diagnosis from the hospitals, the doctors, the disability living allowance payments. We have the medical records to prove it. That's what should be in place. Make the checks for the card harder and make it a virtual system, not a system like you've got at the moment, and certainly not mass exclusion of the primary target audience in which this was created for in the first place. And to the disabled communities in some of the comments that I've seen, we need to stop ripping each other apart and comparing each other as well, and comparing disabilities. Yes, abuse of this system is real. Abuse of all systems is real everywhere. It doesn't matter where you go. But punishing legitimate users of said system isn't the answer. It's not the right answer, and we shouldn't be doing it to each other, and we shouldn't be tearing each other down. We should be helping each other and come up with a solution, and then campaigning against companies like Merlin to get this access pass sorted. And we should be demanding better systems for everyone, not give fewer people access. The blueprint for this card exists. The DAS system exists, and it's working at Disneyland Paris. The blueprint is already there. Merlin just needs to copy that blueprint. They haven't tried to do that. They've just taken away the access. And it's not just about theme parks. It's the same pattern everywhere. Schools, healthcare, workplaces. High-functioning children or high-functioning autistic children lose support because they aren't seen to be disabled enough. They're not seen to be autistic enough. ADHD accommodations are denied frequently across the board in many walks of life, because everyone struggles with focus issues. I struggle with brain fog. I struggle with doing this. Chronic illness, like I say, with POTS, chronic pain, it's dismissed because I've got chronic pain. I suffer with chronic pain. I'm dismissed constantly because I don't look like I'm in pain. Because I can talk and I'm not curled up on the sofa all the time. But it doesn't mean that my pain is any less than anyone else's, and I have it all the time. Or sometimes I'm fine yesterday, but I'm not today. The logic is identical. If you can do X, you should be able to do Y. If you go to a theme park, you should be able to queue. If you can work some days, you should be able to work all the time. If you can stand for 5 minutes, you should be able to stand for 4 hours in a queue. It's not logical. That doesn't happen. And we let corporations define what's disabled enough. Everyone is going to lose out if we do that. So what I want people to start saying is, to Merlin specifically, this isn't inclusion. What you're doing, Merlin, is not inclusion. You created a problem by refusing to invest in proper infrastructure and looking at something like the DAS system. And now you're excluding some of the most vulnerable people in society in order to solve this problem. And like I say, to the people defending the policy, I do get what you're saying to a certain extent. Rap abuse is very frustrating, but the answer is better verification and infrastructure put in place, not kicking out the people who actually need the infrastructure in the first place. We're not asking for special treatment. We're not asking for skipping queues and skipping time waiting. We're asking for equality. We're asking for our children to be able to attend these places the same as anyone else. We just want it to be done in a safe environment for them where they can enjoy their day the same as any other child. If you haven't subscribed to this channel already, subscribe to the channel. Go tag Merlin and tell them what you think. Cancel your passes if you need to. Don't let them call this tailored support, because it isn't. It's exclusion with better branding. Let me know in the comments, what do you think of the exclusion policy from Merlin? Have you been affected by it? How is it affecting you? Let's have a chat in the comments and see how this is going to be affecting everyone. And I will see you in the next video.